Hello everyone, and welcome back to Construction Simulator, where we're going to continue off from last time. Unfortunately, we cannot continue the build for a hotel in the estate because we can't afford any of the material costs. So we have picked up a contract to help out renewable energies build a park. So this is where we are at the moment.
I'm pleased to meet you. I'm the city's environmental officer. This city could really use someone who jumps into the action and just does the right thing. Maybe you noticed the dilapidated building that used to be here until recently. For years, it had been close to collapsing and was contaminated with asbestos. The residents are so relieved that the thing is finally gone. Your task is to integrate the former wasteland into the surrounding parkland.
Alright, so what are we going to need for this job? Let's have a look. Disposal. We need to hire a mobile crane. How does one play this game again? That's a good question. That's what I want. Alright, mobile crane, where are you? I wish you could search by... Oh gee, filter. There we go. There we go. Rent. Fast travel. Helps if you actually fast travel the right spot. At the moment, we are only covering 2 games in the channel. This, which is U-Boat and Construction Simulator. I am open to suggestions to any games that you guys would love to see here on the channel. Can be anything. It could be, I don't know, the new Modern Warfare 2 game, or some other fringe game like Moonbreaker. I don't mind. Let me know in the comment section below what games you would like to see me play, and I will play them. Change mode. No, that's camera. Nope. One of these days I'll learn. Right. That's not what I... Nope. The support legs are blocked. I see. Well, that would make sense, won't it? Well, I was at a show, Armistice Day show, which has got vehicles and weapons and all this other paraphernalia and stuff that is dedicated to the lives of servicemen and women serving now and throughout all the wars in history. And it was a really, really good day. They had a bunch of activities, and I think a local LARP group had turned up because we also had Vikings and Romans, and there was a special activity for the kids, but some of the adults were doing it too, myself included, which was you get a medal at the end of the show to show that you've done at least 7 of the 21 activities on the little pamphlet thing. And I put on Roman gear. I learned how to throw a Roman pillion, use a Roman sling, fire Roman Chio Ballistae. I think I may have pronounced that wrong, but it's almost like a crossbow. Did I park too close? No, I didn't. Excellent. Rode in a World War II Jeep. Well, this particular Jeep was actually a French-made Hotchkiss, but they were made from the same dyes that we used to actually craft the American Jeeps during the Second World War. So you can say that technically, yes, I drove in a World War II Jeep, or had a ride in a World War II Jeep. But besides that, they had a bunch of things there. You could do Navy Morse code, row out an old Navy cutter. Now the ironic thing is, even though the Navy were there, we were in the middle of a landlocked part of the country, known as Lake Carapero, and it was a good spot. Lake Carapero is where all the New Zealand rowing athletes actually train for like the Olympics and all that. So it was a good spot. And at the same time, they had a BMX event going on, and you saw these guys on the BMX bikes going over all these jumps, doing backflips and all that kind of shenanigans. And it was actually quite a fun day. There was a lot of vehicles there. The amount of vehicles was ridiculous. They had a lot of... Oh gosh, there we go, that's what I want. bring that out. Swing that back that way, bring that back. There was a lot of military vehicles. We had some done in the LRDG colours, well, done up as LRDG, so the old Chevrolet trucks from World War II. For those who don't know who the LRDG are the Long Range Desert Group, and they were the forerunners to the modern day SAS, and what they did is they scoured the desert, they did reconnaissance work deep in the desert behind enemy lines to see where all the German and Italian supply lines were, and even go on the occasional raid, but that was not that often. And the reason why it's significant to New Zealand, that Long Range Desert Group, is because when the Long Range Desert Group was first made back in, I think it was, 1941, the British actually went to no one else but the New Zealanders, because they were like, they've got the kind of metal and mentality that we need to actually have in this particular group that we're setting up. And when they approached the 2nd New Zealand Division, we've only had the one division. Oh, we actually had 2 divisions, I lie. But we only had 1 division in Europe. We only had, as of World War II, we only had a population of 1 million. And the reason why it got the second division designation was because the 1st division was the guys that we sent over in World War One. So we just continued on from there. The 3rd division was formed in 1943 for use in the Pacific, and they did take part in some Pacific Island hopping campaigns in the Solomon Islands for mopping up. After the Americans basically breezed through, we were using the mopping up. Anyway, I digress. The LRD, when they approached the 2nd division, they asked who wanted to be part of it, and every single New Zealander part of the 2nd division, they put their hands up to be part of the LRDG. I don't think they realized how much our troops really wanted to be part of this, so they ended up taking the volunteers from the New Zealand Divisional Cavalry. And now the New Zealand Divisional Cavalry at that time wasn't fully armoured, but they had the Bren gun carriers and Vickers light tanks, like Vickers Mark 6 light tanks, I think they were. They also, and I think that was probably about it. And my great-grandfather was actually a part of the Divisional Cavalry, and apparently he was one of the many who actually got into the LRDG. Another side of the family actually have the papers to show that they were, or that he was, part of the LRDG group, and he was a driver for them. The LRDG group didn't last too long. They were only in use until essentially the desert campaign was over, and once that was over, they were told to go back to their units. And by that stage, the New Zealand division had acquired some... Oh wow, this goes out a long way. Had actually acquired some tanks, because Freiburg was pissed off. Freiburg was annoyed at the British forces because when he wanted tanks, they never showed up on time. So he badgered Montgomery and the British High Command for some tanks for a very long time, until they finally relented in 1943, just before they did the landings in Sicily. And the New Zealand Division went on to fight, or the 2nd New Zealand Division went on to fight in Italy for the rest of the war. So yeah, there was a whole paraphernalia of American vehicles. They had Studebaker trucks, Deuce-and-a-Half trucks. There was a lot of GMC trucks there. There was stuff from the Korean War. There was a couple of Vietnam Jeeps, Vietnam era Jeeps, just to name a few. There was Kubelwagens. I was talking to one of the reenactors, who was part of one of the German reenactors, and he actually made himself from scratch a German SDFK 222 armored car, and which was used by the Afrika Korps, and he was an Afrika Korps reenactor. But he made it from scratch with his bare hands, this thing, and they actually used it for one of the reenactments, which was actually quite cool. Unfortunately, I don't think they made any guns, any ammunition, blank firing ammunition big enough for a 2cm flat gun. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the 2cm fire, but it was a very cool reenactment at the end of the day. It was really very well done. There was also Vietnam reenactors. It had Soviet Union, Japanese, you name it. What am I doing right now? That's what I want to do. I want to retract. There we go. Yeah, there was a bunch of reenactors. There was a bunch of military gear that you could buy. So, old relics from the Second World War. It was mostly Second World War stuff that was there, and some Vietnam and Korean War. Barely any World War I stuff. There was a lot of model shop stuff, so you can buy models, and they also had a bunch of tabletop games, and so they had Flames of War, and I was very tempted to buy the starter set for Flames of War, but the scale put me off because it was 1/100th, and I have to paint the bloody thing, and it's so tiny, like the size of a toy car. It's so tiny. Oh, what am I doing? Back this way. Yep. That way. Yep, perfect. And now we go up. Excellent. And then we swing back that way. But there was also a bunch of other tabletop stuff there, like Warhammer, though they weren't selling any Warhammer stuff. It was mostly bolt action, World of Tanks tabletop, a World of Warships endorsed warship tabletop game, miniature game. Alright, how do I reset this? If reset, there we go. And then we go press tab. But yeah, I got talking with a few of the model makers there about Warhammer and all that kind of jazz. And yeah, I was to say I was in my element was an understatement. I'm a huge Warhammer nerd. I wouldn't a lie. I wouldn't say I'm a huge nerd. I'm just really into Warhammer. And the Warhammer of old, so the old Warhammer Fantasy version. I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around Age of Sigmar, to the point that I actually bought the core book for it. What do we want? We want a, this thing. Rent. Yes. Acceptamundo. Alright. This drives weirdly, if I remember rightly. Oh, wrong way. That's fine. If people can't read this, can't tell that this is a working construction site, then they obviously deserve the Darwin Award. So, is there anyone out there who's watching this who's actually into Warhammer and into any of the tabletop games? I would be very much intrigued to know, because oh crud, going the wrong way. I would very much like to know anyone's thoughts and opinions on the bolt action tabletop. I was very much intrigued by it. I was a little bit sad that the model shop owner who came along to the event, he kind of overlooked not bringing in Commonwealth troops, which I think was a little bit of an oversight, supposing that a lot of the people there were there not only to commemorate the lives of those who'd fallen, but being a lot of them were there for the New Zealand stuff, along with, like, you know, the Army cadets and Royal Navy and all that kind of jet. Sorry, the Royal New Zealand Navy. I think he kind of missed a trick, because I would have, if he had Commonwealth troops, I totally would have picked them up. But I did end up on the day purchasing a PBY Catalina, which I've been looking out for years. I do some model making every once in a while, and PBY Catalina was an aircraft that I've been looking for years. Found one made by Academy, and I am looking forward to sinking my teeth into that one. Maybe I'll do a video, time-lapse video, on me making a PBY Catalina. That's the wrong way, so if I can, this way. What do you mean I'm only 55% done? Nope, wrong way. Alright, that's the first one done. 2 more to go. At long last, I've finally completed the bulldozing. Wow, that took longer than it should have. Rip area. What does that even mean? Alright, let's just have a look at what we need to do. Flatten, flatten, ripping. Ah, yes, we need to have the motor graded. Oh gosh, this has got weird controls too. Well, it does have weird controls, but the handling on it's weird. This is probably what we want. Right? Yeah, that's what we want. Time to use our excavator that we bought last episode. And it needs repairs and it needs fuel. So I'm actually going to drive it to the location. Actually, I won't drive it all the way to the location. Top speed of 4 kilometers per hour. It's going to take some time, but I am going to go to their service station so I can repair and refuel this digger. Alright, time to do some excavation. This might take some time. I know this is one of my excavators and we don't need a high one, but I think I need a bigger excavator. Just the last 2% to go. Glad I changed the excavator, otherwise I would have been here all night doing this. Alright, now that we're done with this, we will turn it and I'll bring back a truck that can bring the supplies. So what am I wanting to get? Is there a filter? Yes. One of those, one of those, one of those. 7 of those, one of those. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for today's episode. Stay tuned for the next one. As always, I've been your host, Sir Firecat. Until next time, take care.